Before we start the discussion on Bitcoins, let's first know a little about that cryptocurrency. It's a form of decentralized digital currency. It was launched first in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. It is not printed, remember, but mined on a computer and can be bought or can be used to buy things electronically. Well, how to mine your own Bitcoin? For that, it is produced by solving mathematical problems. For each problem solved, one block of Bitcoin is processed. And as of now, from what we understand, only 21 million Bitcoins can ever be created by mining. Well, that was a quick introduction onto Bitcoins, but let's now go across to our guests and let's speak to Charles first of all. Charles, hi, good to have you. The kind of volatile moves and the kind of run-up that we have seen in the value of Bitcoin in this month itself, what would you give that to? And would you say that the current valuation really is sustainable?
Well, at the moment, the price is torn between two scenarios. The first one is basically based on the ETF approval by the SEC, which is expected today, or tomorrow, or potentially on Monday. And if the SEC approves this Bitcoin ETF, you have the potential for a price rise, and if it doesn't approve it, you have the potential for a price decline. So really, volatility and volume are on the cards at the moment, and that's what the Bitcoin price is stable, waiting for to happen, the catalyst.
Charles, in both the scenarios, if we do get that go ahead from SEC, where do you see the prices moving on both the scenarios?
Well, at the moment, the volatility is looking at 30% upside on the options and downside as well. So people are expecting the price to move a lot. As far as how high it can go, that's anyone's guess. You're looking at people saying $5,000 on the top side. On the low side, again, there could be a lot of panic in the market. But we expect if there is disapproval, there are a lot of other potential ETFs in the pipeline that you could see coming to the fore in the next few days. So panic on decline, but potentially a rally afterwards too.
Charles, let's talk about country-specific as well. And India, while of course trading in Bitcoin is legal here, but RBI, that is the central banker, continues to warn the citizens against the risks that are there to it. And that perhaps is the scenario in other countries as well, from Russia to Brazil. It's only Australia and US in some sense which have accepted the Bitcoins more than the other countries have.
And the UK too. I mean, and a fair amount in Europe as well. I mean, regulation is a softly approach as countries try to figure out how this technology can be improved. The UK, with the Bank of England and with Imperial College universities too, they are looking into Bitcoin and its underlying core technologies and how it can be used to further make money, for example, digital. Which has various advantages from a tax point of view, but also has some disadvantages too from a privacy angle. Across the board, there are varying states of regulation across the world. The US and the UK and Australia too are very pro seeing how it develops, nurturing it, and seeing how it can be used in the future. And then you have some very harsh reactions on some sides of the coin. I would say that a more nurturing effect has longer-term benefits as we go forward.
All right. Charles, what is your sense? Is it a good time to start investing in Bitcoins, or would you want to rather wait out the SEC decision right now?
Well, a couple of funds in the space, they have reduced their holdings to say we don't want to be a part of this bet as the ETF comes to approval. They just want to sit on the sidelines and wait this one out. What we're doing is we're hedging our position just to make sure downside risk is hedged, but we see potential upside. Probability of approval, people are placing at about sort of 10 to 50%. It's anyone's guess out there whether the SEC will push through the ETF. I hope so. I think it'll be a good thing for the space, as it'll allow a piercing of the veil for what's been a wild west of finance to come into the mainstream of finance. So it'll allow sort of digital currencies to get into the mainstream, as well as a merging of the two spaces, which could have benefits in the long run. So.
We will watch out for that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us and answering all our questions. Well, that really is the view from John right now, that it really is anybody's guess on what the SEC will do. But if the decision is positive, you will have the first ETF on Bitcoins, and that would really take the prices or the value of it surging on the higher side. Let's also get into the discussion. Saurabh Agrawal, who is CEO and co-founder of Zebpay. Saurabh, hi, good to have you. What has been your sense? How do you look at the Bitcoin acceptance in India as we are today?
So if you look at Bitcoins, it has really evolved from the time in 2011 when Bitcoin was priced at about $1. It has come to $1,200 now. In India, we have seen tremendous changes. When we started the exchange in 2013, we are doing about, in 2015, when we started the exchange, we were doing about 10 lakh rupees of trade a month, which has touched to about 200 crores a month now. So there's been a tremendous positive movement in Bitcoin space.
The kind of volatility that we have seen on the value itself, do you think that is one of the factors that really deters people who really aren't aware or very familiar with the whole thing?
So if you look at Bitcoins, in 2011 it was worth about $1, which is currently at $1,200. So at those times the market cap was about $1 billion, and in any small sensitive news would trigger the Bitcoin price movements up or down to a big level. But now on the volatility index, Bitcoin has come down from 15 to 2, which is quite similar to the volatility between dollar crude or dollar euro. So I think volatility has reduced a lot and it has become quite stable compared to earlier years.
Saurabh, also, in the recent days with the kind of run-up that we have seen in Bitcoin, it has been put across on how gold hasn't given you that kind of a value, or the kind of returns that we have seen come from Bitcoin have been much higher as compared to many other asset classes. Would you say Bitcoin has reached an arena where it can actually be, can be seen vis-a-vis many other asset classes, or it still is a very niche category?
So you are right. Bitcoin, if somebody had bought Bitcoin was 5,000 rupees in 2011, it would be worth 4.5 crore rupees today. So no other asset class has given that kind of return ever. Bitcoin has evolved and it has reached a space. I mean, if you're only talking about ETF coming in US, if that happens, that will actually show the maturity of the asset. And in India, we believe that there is still some more time before matured and seasoned investors actually start investing in Bitcoins. But from here onwards, we are still seeing a lot of positive moments in Bitcoin and the price moving north.
So, sort of, what would your advice be? I mean, we have been hearing most of the central banks, most of the countries telling us
people should not be investing in this currency because it is not backed by any government bodies, and there are chances they may lose their investments. The wallets and exchanges are not regulated. In February 2017, they again issued a press note warning the regular people, and they still stand by it. But if you look at regulations in developed countries, example US, UK, Europe, Japan, things are different. Government have recognized it either as a financial instrument, as a currency, or as a commodity. And it's time in India also we see some kind of regulations coming in. Till the time that doesn't happen, we at Zebpay and few other companies are following strong self-KYCs and AML policies. So that is making sure that we are trying to avoid the bad players out of the system.
All right, Saurabh, we'll let you go at that. Thank you so much for joining us and spending your time with us. So that really is the view coming in from Zebpay. The returns have been amazing as compared to many other asset classes and for many years as well. But from here on as well, the Indian government or the regulator as well needs to start stepping in before we see the next surge of growth coming in here.